I have lived long enough to know that money cannot buy peace. It can buy silence, yes. It can buy obedience. It can buy distance from the world's noise. But peace, that thing that rests deep inside a man's chest and allows him to exhale without fear, that one is earned, or gifted, or stumbled upon. And as strange as it may sound, mine began to return the night I found a poor cleaner asleep in my bed. My name is Kwame Agyeman, 46 years old, born and raised in Jamestown, but now one of the most recognizable businessmen in Accra. Real estate, hospitality, technology, I have dipped my hands into almost everything and everything turned to profit. People say it is grace. Others call it strategy. I call it loneliness disguised as success. Because the higher you climb in this city, the more people look up at you with admiration. Yet the fewer people look at you with truth. That is why I built my mansion on the quiet hills of Trisako. A fortress overlooking the city lights. 3 floors, 12 rooms, a private pool, a glass-encased library, and a bedroom so large it sometimes felt like a museum. Everything I built was grand and empty. But on the night my life truly began to change, all I wanted was rest. The day had been long. Meetings, calls, handshakes, fake smiles, arguments, negotiations. Running a billion-city empire is like carrying the whole of Accra on your back. By the time I got home, the only thing on my mind was sleep. My staff knew the routine. The housekeepers cleaned in the morning, the outside workers came in the afternoon, and by evening, no one should be in my private quarters. No one. So imagine my confusion when I pushed open my bedroom door at 11:27 p.m. and found someone lying in my bed. At first, I thought it was my imagination. Or perhaps exhaustion was playing tricks on me. The curtains were slightly drawn, and the moonlight poured through the window like milk, falling upon a small figure curled at the edge of the mattress. A woman, fast asleep. My first instinct was anger. Who dared enter my room? Who gave permission? Who was careless enough to risk their entire livelihood by violating the one rule I never compromised? I stepped closer, ready to shout her awake, ready to demand answers, ready to call security and fire someone on the spot. But as I approached the bed, something unexpected happened. I paused. Because the woman lying there, she wasn't just sleeping. She was exhausted to the point of surrender. Her face, soft and tired, rested against my pillows as though they were the first comfort she had experienced in a very long time. Her uniform, a faded navy cleaning dress, was slightly torn near the pocket. Her shoes were off, placed neatly beside the bed, as if she followed some deep, lifelong discipline of respect. Her name tag had fallen onto the floor. I bent to pick it up. Ama Mensah. A new hire. I vaguely remembered approving her paperwork 3 weeks ago. 27 years old. From Kokrobite. Lives with her younger sister. Works morning and evening shifts to support her family. I remember these details because I always review every staff member personally. Even after all these years, I still prefer to know the people who clean the floors under my feet. I stood there staring at her, my anger slowly melting into something else. Something uncomfortable. Something unfamiliar. Concern. Why was she here? Why was she this tired? Who allowed her into the bedroom section? But the question that hit me the hardest was this. When last did anyone, sleep this peacefully in my house? It had been years. Decades maybe. She shifted slightly, hugging one of my pillows as though it held warmth she had long been denied. A light, almost childlike sigh left her lips. And that was when I noticed the bandage on her wrist. Fresh. Poorly wrapped. The type a person gives themselves because they can't afford a clinic visit. My chest tightened. Before I knew it, I found myself pulling a blanket over her shoulders, gently, almost fearfully, as though any sudden movement would shatter the fragile piece she carried. Then it hit me again. This was wrong. Completely wrong. A billionaire covering a house cleaner because she looked tired? A man who fired people for missing a comma in a contract suddenly showing compassion? No, this wasn't who I was. I stepped back, rubbing my forehead as the confusion inside me grew. I needed to wake her. I needed explanations. I needed to restore order. Just as I was taking a breath to call her name, my phone buzzed in my pocket. It was Michael, my head of security. I answered with irritation, whispering so I wouldn't wake the girl. Michael, why is one of the cleaners sleeping in my bedroom? There was a long silence on the line. Then he asked cautiously, Cleaner, sir? No one should be upstairs at this hour. So how is she here? I will check the staff logs now. You better do more than check, I snapped. Find out who assigned her, who allowed access, and why she. The woman suddenly stirred, her fingers gripping the blanket. She let out a small wince, pressing her bandaged wrist against her chest. I froze. Her face twisted slightly as though life had not been kind to her lately. As though sleep was her only escape. Sir? Michael called through the phone. Should I send someone up? No, I replied sharply. Nobody enters this floor. Not yet. Even I didn't know why I said that. Maybe it was curiosity. Maybe annoyance. Maybe something else. I hung up and sat on the single chair beside the bed, staring at her. The moonlight highlighted the faint freckles on her cheekbones, the curve of her nose, the slight dryness of her lips. She looked nothing like the women who came into my life, women polished with wealth, dripping in gold, perfumed with luxury. No, this one was different. Raw, simple, human. She turned slightly and whispered something in her sleep, soft, broken chui. Mame, Mafra Adwan no. Mother. I've brought the food. My throat tightened unexpectedly. Who was this woman dreaming about feeding her mother in her sleep? Why did her voice sound like someone who had carried too much responsibility for too long? And why, of all places in this massive mansion, did she end up in my bed? I leaned forward, elbows on my knees, watching her breathe. The truth is, I was more tired than angry. Tired of the lies. Tired of the endless pressure. Tired of the emptiness wealth brings quietly into a man's room. But the sight of her lying there, with nothing but exhaustion as her shield, awakened something in me that had been sleeping for years. Humanity. A billionaire. A cleaner. Two worlds so far apart, yet tonight, somehow, placed on the same bed. I sat there longer than I should have, my eyes refusing to leave her face. Minutes passed. Then almost an hour. Until suddenly, she opened her eyes. Slowly at first. Confused. Blinking at the ceiling. Then at the blanket over her. Then her gaze dropped onto my shoes, my hands, my suit. And then, her eyes shot wide open. Fear rushed into them instantly. She sat up abruptly, gasping, scrambling backwards like a frightened deer. Monsieur, sir, I'm sorry, I'm so sorry, please, I didn't mean. Her voice shook uncontrollably, her hands trembling as she tried to swing her legs off the bed. I raised a hand gently. Stop. She froze, eyes glistening with panic. I stood slowly, walking toward her, careful, measured, aware that her fear was thicker than the night air. Ama Mensah, I began, my voice low. You're in my room. My bed. At midnight. And I need to know one thing. She swallowed hard, tears gathering at the corners of her eyes. How did you get here? She tried to speak, but only small, broken sounds escaped her lips. She looked like she expected to be fired. Or arrested. Or worse. I didn't know. Sir, I didn't know this was your room, she whispered finally. The supervisor, he told me to finish cleaning the third floor tonight. And then I was sweeping the hallway and I felt dizzy. I just wanted to sit for a moment. Just one moment. I didn't know when I fell asleep. Please, sir, please? Her voice cracked. Her fear pierced me deeper than I expected. I took a slow breath. You're injured, I said, nodding toward her wrist. She hid it instinctively, pressing it against her thigh. It's nothing, she whispered. Just small accident. I studied her a moment longer. This wasn't a lie. This wasn't manipulation. This was genuine exhaustion. Ama, I said softly, why didn't you go home to rest? She hesitated. Then the truth fell from her lips like stones. Because, if I go home early, they will cut my pay. I closed my eyes for a brief second. So that was it. A single mother's cry in a single sentence. Even though she wasn't a mother, her voice carried the tone of someone providing for others at the cost of herself. Sir, please, she begged. Don't fire me. I can work double shift tomorrow. I can. I raised my hand again. And her words died in her throat. Ama, I said quietly, I'm not firing you. She stared at me. Speechless. Unbelieving. But. In fact, I continued, my voice firmer now, you're coming with me. Right now. Her eyes widened in panic. Sir, please where? Why? I stepped closer, my tone leaving no room for argument. You're injured. You're exhausted. And someone clearly took advantage of you tonight. Her breath caught. She looked at me as though she wasn't sure I was real. We're going downstairs, I said. You're going to tell me exactly what happened. Who sent you up here? And why you were working overtime without approval. She shook her head quickly, terrified. Sir, please, I can't. The supervisor, he will. I looked her directly in the eyes. Ama, I said slowly, I am your employer, not your supervisor. And if someone is mistreating you in my house, I need to know. She opened her mouth to respond. But then, a loud crash echoed through the hallway outside. Ama jumped. I turned sharply toward the door. Another sound followed. Footsteps. Running. Fast. Someone else was on the private floor. Someone who shouldn't be there. And as the footsteps grew louder, coming straight toward my room, I realized something with a cold twist in my chest. Whoever was outside wasn't supposed to know she was here. And they weren't running away. They were running toward us. Then the handle of my bedroom door began to slowly turn. The moment the door handle began to turn, Ama froze beside me like a bird cornered by a hawk. Her breath hitched sharply, and she clutched her wrist, eyes pleading with me in a way that tightened something in my chest. Someone was coming in. Someone who had no right to be on this floor. And whoever it was, didn't knock. My instincts sharpened instantly. "Stay behind me," I whispered. She nodded, trembling violently. The click of the lock echoed in the room. Slowly, too slowly, the heavy mahogany door began to open. I stepped forward, ready to confront whoever dared enter my private sanctuary without permission. When the door finally swung open, the figure standing there made my jaw clench. One of my supervisors, Bismarck. A man with a too wide smile, too eager obedience, and too many complaints submitted against him in the past few months. He jumped the moment he saw me. Boss, sir. I didn't know. What are you doing here?" I cut in, my voice low, calm, dangerous. He swallowed, stepping into the room slightly. His gaze darted past me, toward Ama. She shrank back instantly. I noticed everything, the flicker of fear in her eyes, the way she hugged her arms around herself, the way Bismarck's gaze lingered on her like she was prey he lost track of. My hand curled into a fist. "I asked you a question," I repeated. He forced a smile. "Sir, there was a small issue with the cleaning schedule today, so I came to check." "On my bedroom?" I asked dryly. He stiffened. "Why yes, no, I mean, sir, the third-floor cleaning staff stayed longer than usual. I was just making sure everything was locked up properly." "Locked up?" I echoed slowly. He nodded vigorously. "Yes, sir. And yet you walked straight to my room without knocking." His eyes flickered again toward Ama. This time he didn't hide it. And in that moment something snapped inside me. "Bismarck," I said, stepping closer, "how long have you been supervising this staff?" 2 years, sir." "And in those 2 years, have you ever entered my bedroom without my request?" "And no, sir." "But tonight," I continued, voice deepening, "you decided to do that. Why?" He swallowed. His forehead gleamed with sweat. "Sir, I heard a noise. I thought maybe someone was inside." "A noise?" I asked. "Or Ama?" He stiffened. His eyes flickered again, toward her bandaged wrist. This time I saw shame cross her face so quickly that anger burned through my entire body. "Bismarck," I said quietly, "did you send her up here tonight?" He opened his mouth to lie. I saw it forming on his lips. Ama spoke before he could. "Sir, please," she whispered. Don't ask him. It will only—" "That is exactly why I'm asking," I interrupted, never taking my eyes off him. Bismarck cleared his throat. "With all due respect, sir, this girl, this Ama, she doesn't follow instructions well. I told her to clean the third floor and she was injured," I snapped. "And she clearly overworked. Who approved her extended hours?" I don't recall." "So her pay was cut?" I pressed. He blinked rapidly. "Sir. Answer me." Silence. The type that exposes truth without words. Then quietly he said, "Yes." Ama's head lowered. Bismarck added quickly, "But only because she left early last week without permission." "She fainted," Ama whispered, barely audible. "I told you I fainted." He sneered. "Always excuses." My blood heated. "Bismarck," I said slowly, "did you lock her out of the staff restroom?" His eyes widened. "Sir, And did you threaten to cut her pay again if she didn't finish this floor by midnight?" His Adam's apple bobbed. Ama flinched at the accusation. She didn't deny it. That was enough. I took one deliberate step toward him. Then another. He stepped back immediately, fear rippling across his face. "You abused your authority," I said. "On my property. Over my staff. And you entered my bedroom without permission." I paused, letting each word sink in. "You are fired." He gasped. "Sir, please, let's talk. You know I've been loyal." "Security will escort you out within the next 10 minutes," I continued. "Return your badge and leave this house immediately." "Boss, please." "Now." He stared at me, stunned, helpless, then darted one last hateful look at Ama. She lowered her gaze, scared. I stepped slightly to block his view. That was the moment he realized it. I wasn't just firing him. I was protecting her. He swallowed hard, then backed out of the room without another word, closing the door behind him. The moment he was gone, Ama's legs gave out. She collapsed onto the bed, shaking. I rushed toward her. "Ama," I said gently, kneeling beside her. "You're safe now." Tears streamed down her face silently. Not loud. Not desperate. Just quiet, exhausted tears. The kind of tears people cry when they have spent too long pretending to be strong. "I'm so sorry," she whispered. "I didn't mean to cause trouble. If he loses his job, I know he will come for me later. I know he will find a way to punish me. Men like him, they always do." "Ama," I said softly, "listen to me." She looked up slowly. I held her gaze. "As long as you work in my house," I said firmly, nobody will harm you." Her lips quivered. She shook her head slightly. "You don't understand," she whispered. "People like him, they know how to hide things. He said if I ever reported him he would." She stopped, chest rising sharply. "He would what?" I asked. She looked down. She didn't answer. "Ama," I repeated gently but firmly, "what did he threaten to do?" She wiped her tears with her good hand, voice breaking. He said if I ever talked he would get me blacklisted from every house in this area. That no rich family would hire me again. And if that happened, my sister and I, we wouldn't survive." My heart dropped. This wasn't just workplace mistreatment. This was control, manipulation, fear. "Ama," I said quietly, "look at me." She looked up. "I meant what I said. You are safe here." Her eyes held a mixture of disbelief and longing, like someone who wanted to trust but had been disappointed too many times. I studied her a moment longer. Then something unexpected slipped out. "Why didn't you tell anyone?" "Who would listen to a poor girl like me?" she murmured. "People only listen when you have money." Her words hit harder than any insult ever thrown my way, because they were true. I had built an empire based on discipline, efficiency, and perfection. But somewhere along the way I had forgotten the human beings behind my systems. "We're not leaving it like this," I said. "Not anymore." Before she could respond, my phone buzzed again. "Michael," I answered. "Sir," he said urgently, "security cameras show Bismarck didn't come upstairs alone." I froze. "What?" "He came with another staff member. But the footage gets strange." "Strange how?" "Sir, about 20 minutes before you arrived, someone switched off 3 cameras on this floor. Manually." Ama gasped. I stood up, heartbeat thundering. "Which cameras?" "The hallway outside your room," he replied. "The stairwell. And the one facing the 3rd floor utility closet." My jaw tightened. "Michael," I said slowly, "what exactly were they doing up here?" "We're checking now, sir." "But the last camera that stayed on caught something." "What did it catch?" He hesitated. "Sir, it caught Bismarck opening your bedroom door earlier tonight." My blood turned cold. "What?" "Yes, sir. At exactly 10:07 p.m. But I wasn't home." "Exactly," Michael said. He opened the door quietly, peeked inside, then left. He came back again at 11:24 p.m., the moment you arrived. Ama grabbed my arm. "Sir," she whispered, voice trembling, "he wasn't looking for me." I turned to her sharply. "Then who?" She shook her head quickly. "No. It's worse." Her breathing turned shallow. Her eyes darted toward the doorway as though she feared someone listening. "Sir, that supervisor, he wasn't trying to check on me tonight." Her voice dropped to a whisper. "He was looking for something else. Something he believed was hidden in your room." I stared at her. "What thing?" She swallowed, her fingers twisting the bedsheet. "He mentioned it once, by accident. I overheard him on the phone 2 days ago." She looked up at me, eyes full of dread. "He told someone outside the house, that he knew where you kept the envelope." My entire body stilled. "What envelope?" She hesitated, then whispered. "The one he said contained the secret that could destroy you." My heart stopped. "Ama," I said slowly, my voice suddenly unfamiliar to my own ears. "What exactly did you hear?" She opened her mouth to answer. But before a single word could escape, another sound echoed through the hallway. A sharp bang. A door slamming. Heavy footsteps, running fast toward us. Michael's voice cut through the phone urgently. "Sir, lock your door now. Someone else is on the private floor. And they're heading straight to your room. The lights flickered overhead. Ama grabbed my hand, eyes wide with terror. Sir, please, someone is coming. I turned toward the door. Just in time to see the shadow of a man stop right outside my bedroom. And then, the lights went out. Darkness has a weight. Not everyone knows this. But when you are standing in your own bedroom with a frightened woman behind you and the shadow of an unknown man outside your door, you learn quickly that darkness is not empty. It presses against your chest. It breathes. It listens. The moment the lights snapped off, Ama clutched my arm with both hands. Her nails dug into my skin, but I didn't flinch. Sir, she whispered shakily. Sir, please? I squeezed her hand once, silently telling her I was here. The door handle twitched. Not turning. Just a slight tremor, as though someone was testing it with a fingertip. I lowered my voice to a whisper, barely audible even to myself. Move back. Slowly. Ama moved behind me, her breath sharp and uneven. My bedroom was large, bigger than most apartments in Accra, but tonight it felt suffocating. The moonlight that had earlier illuminated Ama's face had disappeared behind heavy clouds, leaving only shadows. My phone was still in my hand. Michael was still on the line. Sir, he said urgently, we lost visual on the 3rd floor. Whoever is up there, he disabled 3 more cameras. How did they access the panel? I whispered. We don't know yet. But sir, your door needs to be locked. Before I could respond, the door handle moved again. This time harder. Ama stifled a cry. I moved quickly, silently crossing the room to the door and turning the lock. The heavy metal clicked into place. Then everything went quiet. Too quiet. Ama's voice trembled behind me. Sir, what does he want? Why is he? Stay calm, I whispered. But even I was struggling to keep my breathing steady. I placed my ear gently against the door. At first, nothing. Just silence. Then, tap, tap, tap. Knuckles. Light. Purposeful. A man knocking on my bedroom door in the dark. Ama, I said softly, go stand behind the far side of the bed. She hesitated. Sir, please? Now. I heard her move. Another tap came, slightly louder this time. I raised my voice, not shouting but firm. Who is there? Silence. I tried again. Identify yourself. A voice finally responded. Not loud. Not rushed. Come. Sir, it's Collins. I stiffened. Collins? One of my night security guards? A young man, barely 30, newly transferred 2 months ago. Something felt wrong. How did you get up here? I asked. No answer. I pressed harder. Collins, I asked you a question. His voice came through the door again, this time strained, almost defensive. Sir, we heard something upstairs. The supervisor said he lost contact with the cleaner on this floor. Bismarck told us to check your room. Ama inhaled sharply. I felt the lie immediately, thin, sloppy, nervous. Bismarck has been fired, I replied coldly. And he certainly gave no such order. A beat of silence. Then footsteps. Slow, measured, shifting slightly in the hallway. As if he was trying to decide something. Then Collins spoke again, sounding almost apologetic. Sir, I understand. But I need to come inside. To check that everything is secure. I narrowed my eyes in the darkness. If he truly were security, he would know protocol. State your badge number, I ordered. He hesitated. A long, telling hesitation. Then, oh, sir, it's, 73-2. Wrong. Every badge number at my estate begins with a 00. And this man didn't even come close. My voice went ice cold. That's not your badge number. Silence. The air tightened around me. Then suddenly, a fist pounded aggressively on the door. Ama screamed. I stepped back from the door instinctively. Michael's voice exploded through the phone. Sir, do not open that door. That is not Collins. The real Collins is downstairs with me right now. My heartbeat slammed into my ribs. The pounding on the door grew louder. Harder. Frantic. Ama ran to me, gripping my arm, her entire body shaking violently. Sir, please, what does he want? Why is he here? I didn't have an answer. But whoever was outside, he was desperate. And desperation is the most dangerous form of motivation. I raised the phone to my mouth. Michael, I said, voice low and controlled despite the pressure in my chest. Get to the 3rd floor. Now. We're coming up, sir, but what? We found Bismarck unconscious near the stairwell. My eyes widened. What? Yes, sir. Knocked out cold. Someone hit him and dragged him. Sir, someone else planned to come upstairs tonight. Not him. Before I could respond, there was a sudden new sound at the door, a metallic scrape. Ama gasped. He's trying to pick the lock, I whispered. The metal scraped again, faster this time. Panic surged through me, not for myself but for the trembling girl clinging to me. I grabbed her shoulders. Ama, listen to me. We need to move. Where? Where can we go? Her voice cracked. We're trapped. Not yet. I guided her toward my closet, large enough to stand inside, reinforced walls, nearly soundproof. Get inside. No, sir, I can't leave you here. Ama, I said firmly, you will not argue with me. Tears filled her eyes. Real fear. Raw fear. But what about you? She whispered. I will handle whoever is at that door. Another thunderous bang shook the door. The lock was failing. Ama choked on her breath. I pushed open the closet door and placed her inside. Stay here. Do not make a sound. Her eyes searched mine as though she didn't want to lose sight of me. I touched her cheek gently, a surprising move even for myself. You're safe, I whispered. I promise. She nodded, though tears streamed silently down her face. The moment I closed the closet door, I felt the room shift. The banging stopped. Silence again. That terrified me more than the noise. Then, crack. The lock snapped. The door flew open, slamming against the wall. A tall silhouette stepped into my bedroom. Dark jacket. Gloved hands. Face partially hidden by a cap. Not staff. Not security. Not Bismarck. Someone else entirely. He paused in the doorway, breathing hard, scanning the dark room. I stood my ground. His head turned toward me slowly. And then he spoke. Where is it? His voice was deep. Foreign. Not Ghanaian. I folded my arms, keeping my voice steady. Where is what? He took one step into the room. The envelope. My blood went cold. Ama had spoken the truth. This wasn't coincidence. This wasn't Bismarck's greedy plan. Something bigger was happening. I forced my expression to remain still. There is no envelope here. He laughed softly, an eerie, humorless sound. Don't lie, Mr. Agyeman. You kept it in this room. I know you did. I have no idea what you're talking about. The man tilted his head. Then he moved faster than I expected. Before I could react, he lunged forward and grabbed me by the collar, slamming me against the wall. Pain shot down my spine. His face hovered inches from mine. You have 2 seconds to tell me where it is, he growled. I clenched my jaw. I had been threatened before. Extorted. Blackmailed. But never like this. Never inside my own bedroom. From the closet, I heard the faintest shift of movement. Ama. She must not make a sound. The man tightened his grip on my collar. Where is the envelope? I didn't answer. Partly out of defiance. Partly because, truthfully, I didn't know which envelope he meant. He raised his fist. But before he could strike, a distant voice echoed from the stairwell. Kwame? We're coming. Michael. Security. The man cursed under his breath. He released my collar, stepped back, and reached inside his jacket. For a split second, my heart stopped. A weapon. A tool. Something worse? He pulled out a small silver device, smooth, square, unfamiliar. Then he pressed a button. Before I could react, a piercing alarm exploded through the room. High-pitched, disorienting, designed to overwhelm. Ama screamed inside the closet. I dropped to my knees, ears ringing. The man didn't flee immediately. He leaned close to me and whispered, You hid something very powerful, Kwame, and someone wants it back. My vision blurred. Then he added chillingly, And the girl, she wasn't supposed to see any of this. My blood froze. Don't touch her, I rasped. He smiled behind the shadow of his cap. It's too late for that. And then, he ran. Footsteps thundered down the hallway. Security shouting. Doors slamming. Chaos. I staggered to my feet, ears still ringing, and rushed toward the closet. Ama? Her trembling voice answered, broken and terrified. Sir, please? I think he saw me. I yanked the door open, and my heart dropped. Ama was against the wall, shaking uncontrollably, tears running down her face. And in her hand, clutched tightly, was the exact silver device the intruder had been holding seconds before. It was humming, vibrating, glowing faintly with a red pulse. Ama? I whispered, stepping closer. Where did you get that? She shook her head violently. I don't know, he dropped it, he threw something, it rolled here, I just picked it up, I didn't mean. The device beeped. What? Loud. Sure. Ama's eyes widened in horror. Sir. I think it's about to explode. I did not sleep that night. Every time I closed my eyes, I saw her again. Ama, curled up on my bed like a child who had finally found peace. My bed, in my room, inside my mansion. And the strangest part? I wasn't angry. I should have been furious. I should have fired her on the spot. I should have called the head of HR or security or even the police. But instead, I kept replaying the softness of her breathing, the innocence of her face. And it bothered me. Deeply. A girl who cleaned floors for a living had somehow shaken something loose inside me. By morning, I had convinced myself it was nothing. A moment of weakness. A ridiculous emotional reaction to an unexpected event. I'll handle everything today, I told myself. Professional. Direct. No nonsense. But when I reached the office, I realized the situation was already spreading in a way I did not expect. They were whispering. I walked past the administrative wing and conversations suddenly died. People avoided eye contact. Someone dropped a stack of files. My head of operations, Kwame, followed me to the elevator like a nervous chicken. Sir, there's something you should know. My heart tightened a little. Say it. He cleared his throat. It's about the new cleaner. The young one. Ama. I kept my expression flat. What about her? He hesitated, shifting from foot to foot. Some staff believed she was with you yesterday, in your private quarters. I turned sharply to face him. Believed? Or saw? Kwame swallowed hard. Sir, the truth is, one of the guards saw you carrying her. That explained everything. And now they're assuming the worst, I murmured. Kwame lowered his eyes. It's spreading, sir. People are talking. And you know how people are. They are saying she must be your? I raised a hand to silence him. I didn't need the word. I knew it already. Mistress. That was what they meant. Ama, who had done absolutely nothing wrong, was already being dragged into the twisted imaginations of bored employees. I felt irritation spike through me. I want every rumor shut down immediately, I said sharply. And anyone caught spreading lies will be disciplined. Yes, sir, he said quickly, relief flooding his face. But it didn't solve my real problem. How would she react? How would she survive the hostility, the gossip, the jealousy? A girl like her, thrown into a mansion full of people who believed a cleaner could never stay innocent near a man like me. I needed to talk to her. She was in the laundry room. Her head bent over a pile of linens, sleeves rolled up, shoulders tense. She worked with the kind of focus that only came from trying to disappear. She didn't see me enter. I watched her for a moment, her small hands moving quickly, the way she bit her lower lip when she concentrated, the quiet dignity in everything she did. She wasn't pretending. She wasn't performing. She was simply trying to do her job. Ama, I said gently. She froze. Slowly, she lifted her head and turned to me. When her eyes met mine, my chest tightened. She looked scared. Not of me but of the world. Yes, sir, she said quietly. Her voice was steady but her hands trembled. I need to speak with you, I said. Her breath hitched. About yesterday? Yes. She nodded stiffly, wiped her hands on her apron and followed me out. I didn't take her to my office. I didn't take her to the main living room. I led her outside to the garden, the one place where the staff rarely came during working hours. She stood a few steps from me, eyes lowered, posture rigid. Look at me, I said softly. Slowly, she did. And her eyes, those deep, dark, heartbreaking eyes, were full of fear. Are you going to sack me? She whispered. Something twisted inside me. No. She blinked fast, confused. But the rumors, the others. I heard some of them whispering that I laid on your bed because I was trying to seduce you. Her voice cracked. My hands clenched. They are lying, I said firmly. And I will handle it. But they won't believe me, she said. Her throat worked as she tried not to cry. People like me, we don't get believed. Something about that hit me harder than anything else she had said. People like me. Poor. Uneducated. Invisible. Tell me exactly what you want, I said, and I will make it happen. She swallowed. I just want to work. I want to keep my job. I didn't mean to fall asleep. I truly didn't. Please, sir, please don't let them throw me out. I won't, I said quietly. You have my word. She breathed out shakily as if she'd been holding that breath for a lifetime. Then she surprised me. She lifted her chin, not much but enough to show a spark of courage, and said, I didn't climb into your bed on purpose. I promise on my mother's grave. I know. She looked away, blinking back tears. I've worked in houses before. Some men, she paused, unable to finish. I understood. I am not that kind of man, I said. She nodded slowly. I can tell. That is why I wasn't afraid when you carried me. I should have been, but I wasn't. Her innocence was disarming. Honest. Pure. More than anything I had seen in years. But then she said something that froze me. Sir, if my being here will stain your name, I can leave. It felt like a punch to my chest. No, I said, sharper than I intended. You're not leaving. She flinched. I exhaled slowly, trying to soften my tone. I mean, you don't deserve to lose your job because people cannot mind their business. She looked at me for a long moment, confused again. Why do you care? She whispered. The question hit harder than I expected. Why did I care? I should have walked away. I should have kept my distance. I should have remained the cold, controlled billionaire everyone assumed I was. But something about this girl, this cleaner, this quiet, trembling soul, something about her made me feel protective in a way I hadn't felt in years. I don't know, I admitted. She stared at me like she couldn't believe it. Then, slowly, she lowered her gaze again. Thank you, sir. Later that afternoon, the real storm began. I received a call from the HR director. Sir, we have a problem. I already knew what she was going to say. It's about the cleaner, she said. A few senior staff members are demanding that she be transferred or dismissed. They claim she is getting special attention. I closed my eyes. This was going to get worse. Who started it? I asked. There was a pause. Your fiancé's sister. My eyes snapped open. My what? I hissed. Your fiancé's sister, she repeated nervously. She's in the PR wing, remember? She said she saw you talking privately with the girl in the garden. And she is already telling people that the girl is a threat. A cold wave went through me. My ex-fiancée, and her family, were the one part of my life I had hoped to leave behind. Apparently they were not done with me. And now, Ama was caught in the crossfire. I ended the call and stood very still, my mind racing. This was no longer about rumors. No longer about staff gossip. This was about power, control, reputation. And the girl caught in the middle was the one woman who never wanted anything from me. The one woman who had shown me innocence I didn't know still existed. Ama. I needed to protect her. No, I would protect her. No matter the cost. I stepped out of my office, heading toward the staff quarters to check on her. And that was when I froze. Ama was standing outside my office door, crying. And behind her was my ex-fiancé's sister, pointing at her with pure hatred in her eyes. I froze in place the moment I saw them. Ama, trembling and wide-eyed, her small frame almost swallowed by the hallway. And behind her, Esther, my ex-fiancé's sister, tall, elegant, and radiating venom like it was her birthright. I should have intervened immediately. I should have stepped forward and protected Ama. But something stopped me, something I didn't want to acknowledge. It was the raw reality of the scene. Ama standing there alone in a world that had already assumed the worst of her. And Esther, the self-proclaimed arbiter of reputation, convinced she had the moral high ground. Ama's lips trembled. Sir. I didn't mean to. Esther cut her off sharply. Don't even speak. Do you have any idea what you're doing showing up in his private quarters? Do you even know who I am? I clenched my fist. Her voice, so condescending, so deliberate, cut deeper than any physical threat ever could. Ama, I said gently, stepping forward, step aside. She hesitated, glancing at me as though I were the only anchor in a sudden storm. Esther's eyes snapped to me. Kwame, don't interfere. You know exactly what kind of trouble she's caused. Everyone is already talking. I felt heat rise in my chest, not anger at Ama, but at the audacity of this woman. Esther, I said, my voice calm, measured, but heavy with authority, this young woman has done nothing wrong. Step aside. She laughed, a sound that was sharp, cold, and full of disdain. Nothing wrong? Kwame, she slept in your bed. Do you even hear yourself? Do you realize what your employees are saying? How many people have already spread rumors because of this? Ama's shoulders hunched forward. She looked like she might collapse right there. Enough, I said louder this time. My tone demanded obedience in a way no one had ever heard from me before. Esther froze. A small flicker of surprise crossed her face, but she quickly masked it with defiance. I'm not leaving, she said coldly. She's a liability. And you're letting this happen. It's irresponsible. I am being responsible, I said. By protecting her. Her eyes narrowed. Protecting her? Or are you enjoying the attention? She's a cleaner. Ama, is that true? Are you trying to seduce him? The words hit the hallway like a slap. I could see Ama's body go rigid. Her hands tightened into fists at her sides. I stepped closer to Esther. Close enough that she could see the determination in my eyes. Leave her alone, I said. Do you hear me? Do not say another word to her. She smirked, a faint, cruel smile. Or what, Kwame? You'll fire me? You think your money protects you from the truth. I inhaled slowly, trying to keep my pulse under control. My palms itched to strike. Not at her, but at the injustice. At the system that always favored the loud, the wealthy, the privileged. But I couldn't afford that. Not here. Not now. Instead, I took a step back, letting my authority speak louder than my temper. Ama, follow me. Now. Her eyes widened in fear. She looked at Esther, who was glaring daggers at me, then quickly nodded. I led her down the hallway, past the murmuring staff who had begun to gather at the edges, whispering, curious, excited. Once inside my private office, I shut the door and leaned against it, exhaling deeply. Ama sank into the leather chair. Her hands were shaking. Her eyes refused to leave mine. I'm sorry, sir, she whispered. I don't mean to cause trouble. I never meant anything. I shook my head. It's not your fault, Ama. It's never your fault. She blinked, almost disbelieving. But, sir, everyone, they're saying things. Even, she hesitated. Even the rich families who come to the house, they've noticed. I pressed my hand to my forehead. Of course. I had underestimated the ripple effect of one incident. Listen to me, I said, voice firm. You are not going anywhere. Not today. Not tomorrow. Not until I make sure you are safe. Do you understand? She nodded, tears threatening to spill over. I turned away, pacing my office. The situation was escalating faster than I had anticipated. Esther would not back down. Bismarck was already neutralized, but her network of influence could be deadly. And the rumors, the whispers, they spread like fire through dry grass. I paused, staring out the window at the city below. The sun was setting, painting Accra in gold and crimson. Beautiful. Deadly. Unforgiving. A knock at the door pulled me back. Sir? Michael's voice from outside. Enter, I called. He stepped in, looking tense. Sir, we've confirmed it, he said. Esther has already spoken to several board members. They are asking questions, and they want Ama removed immediately. I felt a cold dread settle over me. Have you told them the truth? I asked. Michael shook his head. No, sir. They refuse to listen. They are loyal to Esther's family. And you know how rumors spread faster than facts. I clenched my fist. This wasn't just about protecting Ama anymore. It was about preserving justice. About making sure that fear and manipulation didn't win. I turned back to her. Ama, I said quietly, you need to stay here. Do exactly as I say. Can you do that? She nodded firmly, though the tremor in her hands betrayed her fear. Good, I said. Because tonight, we fight back. She looked at me, eyes wide. Fight back, she repeated, barely believing it. Yes, I said. We'll show them that fear cannot dictate our lives. That lies cannot destroy innocent people. That no one, not even Esther, can control what happens here. Ama's eyes filled with determination, a spark I had not seen before. Yes, sir, she whispered. I'll do as you say. I nodded. Her courage was fragile, but it was there. And in that moment I realized something important. This girl, this cleaner, had a fire in her heart. A fire that I hadn't expected. And perhaps, just perhaps, it was the fire that would change everything. But the storm wasn't over. Later that night, as the mansion fell into near silence, I returned to my office to review surveillance footage. My eyes widened in shock. Bismarck, unconscious earlier, had been moved. But the footage showed him being dragged, not by one person but 3 men in black suits. Their faces hidden. And then, the cameras caught something that froze my blood. One of them stopped in front of Ama's quarters, and bent down. He whispered something. I couldn't hear the words. But his hand touched her shoulder. And then, they left. The screen went blank. I leaned back in my chair, heartbeat thundering. Ama's safety was no longer just a matter of office politics. It was personal. Dangerous. I turned toward the door, intending to check on her, and froze again. Ama was not in her room. Not in the closet. Not in the office. She was gone. I froze in the doorway, heart hammering, mind racing. Ama gone. I ran down the hallway, every muscle taut, every sense on fire. Michael, call security, now. I barked, my voice echoing off the marble walls. He dashed after me, fumbling with his phone. Sir. I've already alerted everyone on the property. Check the cameras. I shouted, my hands trembling as I reached for the nearest monitor. We watched the screens together. Ama had not left on her own. The door to her quarters had been left slightly ajar. The closet empty. My stomach dropped. The footage was grainy, but the sequence was clear. A shadowy figure had entered the hallway moments after I had left my office. The intruder had moved with deliberate precision, avoiding the cameras Michael had told me were still operational. And then, Ama had followed. Or had she been forced? The last frame showed her hand disappearing from the camera's view. That was it. Gone. I slammed my fist against the desk. No, not her. Not Ama. Sir? Michael's voice was cautious. Do you think? I don't know yet, I cut him off sharply. But find her. Now. And check every exit. Michael nodded and sprinted away, urgency in every step. I stayed behind, staring at the monitors. I had built a fortress here, high walls, surveillance cameras, strict security. And yet, someone had managed to bypass everything. Someone had taken her. I called in the closest, most trusted members of my security team. Every exit. Every street. Every ally. Find Ama. And find her before it's too late, I commanded. They nodded, their faces tight with tension. This was no ordinary incident. I sank into my chair, head in hands. And then it hit me. This wasn't about jealousy anymore. It wasn't about office politics. This was personal. Someone had set their sights on Ama, and by extension on me. I replayed the events of the past 24 hours in my mind. The intruder. The silver device he carried. Bismarck unconscious. Esther and her manipulations. It all pointed to one thing. This was bigger than a simple rumor or stolen envelope. And Ama, poor innocent Ama, was at the center of it. My phone buzzed. It was a private number. I answered immediately. Hello. A distorted voice came through, mechanical, cold. Kwame Agyeman. I stiffened. Who is this? The line was silent for a moment. Then the voice spoke again. She has something that belongs to us. And if you don't act according to instructions, she will be destroyed. Where is she? I demanded, my fingers tightening around the phone. She will be at the safe location soon. But do not try to follow. Or you will never see her again. Click. The line went dead. I sank back in my chair, mind spinning. Safe location? Who were these people? And why was Ama involved? One thing was certain. This was no ordinary theft. I thought of her, trembling in the closet just hours ago. She had trusted me. She had looked at me with those wide, innocent eyes. And I had failed her. I should have been there. I should have protected her. But instead she had been taken from me. The thought twisted my stomach into knots. I rose abruptly, pacing the room. No. I could not wait for security to bring her back. I would go myself. I grabbed my car keys. Michael, seeing my determination, followed closely. We need a lead, I said, voice low and fierce. Anything. Any clue. Where they could take her. Now. He nodded. I'll check local traffic cams, sir. See if there's any movement near the estate. We raced to my vehicle, tires screeching against the driveway. The city was alive with noise. Accra at night was a labyrinth of colors, sounds, and shadows. Every alley, every street could be hiding the answer, or the disaster. We moved quickly, scanning. Michael had pulled up traffic cameras on his tablet, eyes darting over every frame. Sir, he said suddenly, pointing. Look at this street. Just outside the city. A black SUV, tinted windows, heading north. They left the mansion 20 minutes ago. I cursed under my breath. That's our lead, I said. Follow them. We raced through the streets, weaving past traffic, heartbeats synchronized with the rhythm of urgency. The SUV was fast. Too fast. But I refused to let them escape. I called my closest allies in the security network. Prepare for interception. But be careful, they're armed and dangerous. As we approached the outskirts of the city, my mind kept returning to Ama. Was she scared? Was she hurt? Had she been forced to do something against her will? I clenched the steering wheel. No. I would not let her suffer. I would not fail her. She had trusted me. And now, more than ever, I needed to honor that trust. A sudden beep from Michael's tablet caught my attention. Sir, he said, voice tense, look at this. On a nearby alleyway camera, a figure appeared. Small. Swift. Familiar. It's Ama, I breathed. She was running. Alone. Determined. But behind her, shadows. Too many shadows. I slammed the accelerator. She's almost out of sight, I shouted. Michael's fingers flew across the tablet. Sir. She's heading into the old industrial district. That's dangerous. Abandoned warehouses, no one goes there. Then we go there too, I said, eyes fixed on the fleeing figure. We turned into the district, tires squealing on cracked pavement. Ama was still ahead, weaving through broken fences, her small frame almost swallowed by the night. Then I saw it. A hand reached out from the shadows and grabbed her arm. She screamed. I slammed on the brakes. And in that moment I realized something terrifying. I was too late. I skidded to a stop, my heart thundering in my chest, as Ama's scream echoed through the empty industrial district. Shadows danced along the broken walls and rusted gates, twisting the night into something darker than I had ever imagined. I threw open my car door, adrenaline coursing through me, and ran toward the figure that had grabbed her. Let her go. I shouted, voice cutting through the silence like a blade. The man, tall, masked, hands like iron, jerked Ama toward a darkened warehouse. She struggled fiercely, kicking, twisting, but he had her arm locked like a vice. I ran faster, my shoes slapping against cracked concrete, every second feeling like a lifetime. Ama? I screamed again, my voice raw with fear and anger. She looked at me over her shoulder, eyes wide, terror-stricken, and I felt a jolt of desperation unlike anything I had ever known. I was supposed to be the one in control, the billionaire with the fortress and the power. And yet, here I was, running blindly, powerless against a man who had taken her before I could even reach her. I caught up as the figure reached the warehouse door. Without thinking, I lunged, grabbing the man's arm and yanking with all my strength. He twisted and I slammed him to the ground. Ama stumbled backward and I reached out to steady her. Sir, she gasped, clinging to me. He wants something from me. What does he want? I demanded, my voice low and harsh. I don't know. He said I have something he needs. I felt a chill run through me. The silver device. Of course. That had to be it. The man on the ground groaned and struggled to rise. I pushed him back down, glaring into the shadows of his mask. Tell me what you want, or you won't leave here alive. He didn't answer. Ama tugged at my sleeve. Sir, please, he has friends, they'll come for me. I looked around. The district was deserted, but the night had eyes everywhere, and I had no idea how many of them were waiting, watching. My hand instinctively went to my pocket, gripping the small phone I always carried for emergencies. I could call security, but I knew they would be too slow. The man's friends would vanish like ghosts before help arrived. No, this was on me. I had to protect her myself. I helped Ama step behind a stack of crates, using them as a shield. She crouched low, trembling, and I positioned myself in front of her, my chest tight with fear. The masked man rose slowly, his movements deliberate and unnerving. You don't understand, billionaire, he said, voice cold and mechanical. That girl, she has what belongs to us. And if we don't get it back, he let the threat hang in the air, unfinished but deadly. Ama's eyes darted to me, pleading silently. I clenched my jaw. I would not let them touch her. I would not. I took a step forward. You will leave her alone. You hear me? Now. He laughed, a hollow sound that sent shivers down my spine. You are not in control here. You never were. I swallowed hard, but I couldn't back down. I am in control of this moment. And I swear to you, if you touch her, I will make you regret it for the rest of your life. He paused, tilting his head, and for a moment I thought he might retreat. But then he lunged forward, faster than I expected. I dodged, shoving a crate between us, and Ama screamed. I grabbed her hand. Run! I shouted. We sprinted through the dark alleys, my heart hammering, every sound amplified, the scraping of metal, the distant hum of traffic, our own ragged breaths. I could hear him behind us, cursed footsteps echoing against the walls. We reached an intersection, and I spotted a narrow alley leading toward the main road. I pulled Ama toward it, praying we could make it to the car, to safety. Then a figure appeared in the shadows ahead. Another one. I froze. Ama tripped, and I lunged forward, catching her just as the man reached out. My arm collided with his chest and he staggered back, surprised. Keep moving, I shouted. Ama scrambled to her feet, and we ran again, our footsteps pounding against the uneven ground. Every second felt like an eternity. Every shadow seemed to hide another threat. We rounded a corner and I finally spotted my car, its headlights cutting through the darkness like a beacon. Relief surged through me, but it was short-lived. The masked man stepped into the street, blocking our path. And behind him, another two figures appeared, flanking him like predators. I pulled Ama behind me, heart pounding. I had to think, had to act fast. The silver device in her hand hummed faintly, pulsing with red light. I realized then that it was not just a threat, it was the key. They wanted it and they would not stop until they had it. "Give it to us," the lead man demanded, stepping closer. "Now." I shook my head. "Never. You will not hurt her. Not while I'm here." Ama looked at me, fear and trust battling in her eyes. "Sir, what do we do?" I scanned the street, the shadows, looking for anything, any advantage. Then I saw it, a loose metal pipe lying near the crates. A thought flashed through my mind. I nodded to Ama. "Listen to me carefully. When I say run, you run. Don't look back." Her grip tightened on mine. "Sir, I'm scared." "I know," I said softly. "But you are stronger than you think. And I will protect you." I took a deep breath, then sprang into action. I grabbed the pipe and swung it with all my strength at the nearest assailant. He staggered back, momentarily stunned. I grabbed Ama's hand. "Now, run." We sprinted toward the car, her small frame barely keeping up with my long strides. I could hear them recovering, shouting, chasing. My chest burned, my lungs screamed, but I refused to falter. We reached the car. Michael's engine roared as he pressed the accelerator. I threw Ama into the passenger seat, slamming the door behind her. The masked men appeared at the end of the alley, watching us speed away. Ama's hands were shaking, but she held the silver device tightly. I reached over, taking it from her. The red light pulsed faintly. I didn't know what it was. I only knew it was dangerous, and now it was ours, temporarily. We raced through the streets, every turn, every intersection a potential trap. My mind raced, piecing together the events of the past hours. Who were these men? Why had they targeted her? And most importantly, what was inside that silver device that made them willing to kill, to kidnap, to destroy? I glanced at Ama. She was silent now, gripping the seat tightly, eyes wide, trying to process everything. I wanted to comfort her, to tell her everything would be okay, but I couldn't lie, not yet. Not until we were safe. And we were not safe. Because I knew, deep in my heart, that whoever had sent these men would not give up. They would come for her again. And next time, I might not be fast enough. The city lights blurred as we sped down the highway. My grip tightened on the device. Ama looked at me, fear and trust mingling in her eyes. "Sir?" she whispered. "Yes," I said, voice firm but gentle. "We will survive this," I promised. "I swear. I will not let them take you from me." But as the SUV in the distance disappeared into the darkness, a chilling thought struck me. Ama had survived the first attack, but I had no idea what we were truly up against. And the truth could be far more dangerous than either of us had imagined. We didn't stop driving until the city lights were far behind us, swallowed by the dark, winding roads of the outskirts. My hands ached from gripping the steering wheel so tightly, but I couldn't relax. Not even for a second. Every shadow, every whisper of wind against the car made me flinch. Ama sat beside me, her small body trembling, gripping the silver device as if it were a lifeline. "Sir?" she whispered, voice barely audible. Who were they?" I shook my head, keeping my eyes on the road. "I don't know yet. But I promise you, Ama, I will find out. And I will stop them." She nodded slowly, biting her lip, trying to steady herself. I glanced at her, the candlelight from the dashboard casting soft shadows across her face. She was exhausted, frightened, yet there was a quiet resilience in her eyes that surprised me. She hadn't broken completely, and somehow that made me feel a sliver of hope. We drove in silence for a few minutes, broken only by the low hum of the engine and the faint whisper of wind against the windows. I needed a plan. Fast. The security team could track us if necessary, but the men after Ama were professionals. They wouldn't stop. And the silver device. I had no idea what it contained, only that it was worth more than life itself to these people. Finally, I pulled off the main road, down a narrow, unlit path that led to an abandoned safe house I had used once years ago, during a corporate investigation. The building was small, isolated, and nondescript, perfect for hiding at least temporarily. I turned to Ama as we parked. "Stay here. Don't open the door for anyone. Understand?" She nodded immediately, fear flashing in her eyes. "Sir, what if they come?" "They won't," I said, though the lie tasted bitter on my tongue. "I'll make sure of it." We slipped inside, the darkness swallowing us almost instantly. I flipped the switch on the old generator in the corner, bathing the room in dim, flickering light. It was enough to see, not enough to be comfortable. Ama sank onto the couch, hugging her knees. "Sir, why me? Why are they after me?" I sat across from her, my hands folded, trying to find the right words. The truth was, I didn't know yet. And that uncertainty gnawed at me more than any physical threat. "They want something you have," I said carefully. "Something important. Something dangerous." Her eyes widened. I don't understand. "I don't have anything." "You do," I said, voice firm. "This device you're holding, it's more than just a thing. It's power. And some people will stop at nothing to control it." Her grip on the device tightened. "Power? But I'm just me. I don't know anything about power." "You've been chosen for it," I said, trying to make it sound less frightening than it was. "Not because of who you are, but because of what you carry." She looked down, whispering to herself, "Why me? Why me?" I felt a pang in my chest. Here was a girl who had worked her entire life cleaning, surviving, dreaming of nothing more than a safe day and a quiet night. And now she was thrust into a world of danger, intrigue, and power she didn't even understand. "I'll protect you," I said softly, more to convince myself than her. "I swear it. No one will hurt you. Not while I'm here." Ama lifted her head, eyes glistening. "Sir, you don't even know me. You shouldn't care." "I do," I interrupted. "And I always will. Don't question it. You're not alone anymore." She nodded, but her hands still shook as she clutched the device. I leaned back against the wall, listening. Outside, the night was quiet, too quiet. That meant nothing. Professionals like the ones who had taken her once could wait, watch, and strike when we least expected. Minutes stretched into hours as I tried to piece together a plan. I couldn't call the authorities, not yet. I didn't know who I could trust. The people after her were organized, ruthless, and connected. Every second we delayed could be fatal. Finally, I made a decision. "We're leaving this city," I said. "Tonight. You and I. We'll get somewhere safe, somewhere they can't reach us." Ama blinked, fear and uncertainty mingling in her eyes. "But, sir, where will we go?" "Somewhere they won't find us," I said. "And then, we figure out what this is, what you're carrying, and why it's worth killing for." Her lips trembled. I don't even know if I can. I'm just a cleaner." "You're stronger than you think," I said, standing. "And I'll make sure you survive this. Trust me." She hesitated, then slowly nodded. "I trust you, sir." The words were simple, but the weight of them pressed on me like a stone. Trust. In the middle of danger, in a world where betrayal waited around every corner, she trusted me. And I would not betray that trust, not for anything in the world. I opened the door, peering out into the night. The streets were quiet. Too quiet. My instincts screamed that we were not alone. Michael arrived moments later, his face grim. "Sir, we've tracked them. They're still in the city searching. But they've split up. Whoever grabbed her originally, they're coordinating with someone else." I nodded. "Good. That gives us a chance. Let's move." Ama followed closely as we stepped outside. The night air was cold against our skin, a sharp reminder that danger was all around us. I scanned the streets, every shadow, every corner, ready for movement. We reached my car and slipped inside. I didn't even start the engine. I needed to wait, to watch, to make sure we weren't being followed. Minutes felt like hours. Then a faint noise. A shadow moved along the alley behind us. I grabbed the device from Ama's lap. "Hold on," I whispered. The figure emerged from the darkness, tall, silent, masked. And behind him, 3 more. I slammed the door, locked it, and started the engine. "Hold on tight," I said. We sped into the night, tires screeching against the asphalt. The figures pursued, but I was determined. I wouldn't let them take her again. Ama's small hand gripped mine, and for a brief moment, I allowed myself to look at her. She was scared, yes, but also brave. She had survived what no one expected. And together we would face whatever came next. But deep in my gut, I knew this was far from over. Whoever wanted this device, whoever wanted her, would not stop until they had both. And the realization struck me like a hammer. We had survived the first attack. But the real danger, the one that could destroy us both, was only beginning. The city blurred past us, a river of lights and shadows as I gripped the steering wheel with white-knuckled intensity. Ama's small hand was still tight in mine, trembling, but she didn't scream. Not yet. Not while the danger was so close. The hum of the engine and the wail of sirens somewhere far ahead mixed with the pounding of my heart. "Sir," she whispered, voice small, fragile but firm. Do you think they'll catch us?" I swallowed hard, forcing myself to stay calm. My mind was racing, piecing together every possible outcome, every escape route. Not if we stay sharp, I said. I won't let them. She nodded, eyes wide, staring out the window at the passing cityscape. For a moment, she looked like the Ama I had first met, the quiet, determined girl who worked tirelessly, never asking for more than she deserved. But now she was caught in a storm that was bigger than both of us. The device rested on my lap, humming faintly. I didn't understand its full power yet, but I knew it was the reason we were being hunted. Whoever had sent the masked men was organized, ruthless, and patient. They wouldn't give up. Sir, what is it? Ama asked softly, voice tinged with fear. The thing in my hand, why do they want it so badly? I shook my head. I don't know yet. But I promise, we'll figure it out. Together. She looked at me, trust shining in her eyes despite the terror surrounding her. That trust hit me harder than anything else. I had to protect her. I had to. Ahead, the streets forked. One way led to the highway, the other to a series of narrow alleys. I chose the alleys, hoping the masked men would not expect it. But immediately, my instincts warned me they were professionals. They would anticipate every move. And then I saw them. A black SUV moving fast, blocking our path. Another vehicle flanked it on the side. They had anticipated us. Hold on. I shouted, slamming the accelerator. Ama's scream was sharp and piercing as we swerved, tires screeching. The SUVs pursued, relentless, engines roaring. We darted through the streets, twisting, turning, trying to lose them. But they were coordinated, moving like shadows, cutting off every escape route. Ama leaned forward, eyes wide. Sir, they're everywhere. I know. I shouted, scanning every corner. My mind was working faster than my pulse. I had to think, fast. Every second counted. One mistake and we would be done. I spotted a narrow passage leading into the old dockyards. It was risky, abandoned warehouses, broken crates, rusted containers. But it was also our only chance to shake them. I took the turn sharply, engine whining, and we plunged into the darkness of the dockyards. The SUVs followed, headlights cutting through the shadows, illuminating broken metal and scattered debris. Ama clutched the device to her chest. Sir, what is it? Please, tell me. I hesitated, gripping the wheel tighter. I don't know everything yet, I admitted. But I do know this, they will kill to get it. And they won't stop. She swallowed hard, eyes glistening. Then we have to hide it. We have to stop them. I looked at her courage, at her determination despite everything. Somehow, she had become stronger in the face of danger than most people I knew in the world of power and wealth. We sped deeper into the maze of warehouses, weaving through broken crates and rusted machinery. The SUVs followed, relentless, and I realized with a sinking feeling, they were hurting us, pushing us somewhere. Somewhere I couldn't predict. And then I saw it. A massive, rusted gate at the edge of the dockyard, barely standing, leading to a narrow path beyond. I took it without hesitation, tires kicking up gravel. The SUVs followed, engines roaring, but the passage was too narrow for them to maneuver easily. For a brief moment I thought we might have a chance. But then I heard it, another sound coming from the shadows. Footsteps. Dozens of them. I slammed on the brakes, heart hammering. Ama looked at me terrified. Sir, what now? I didn't answer. I had no answer yet. Figures emerged from the darkness, surrounding the car. Masks, weapons, silent as death. I counted at least 10. Too many. Too organized. And in front of them, the lead figure, taller than the rest, stepped forward. You have something that belongs to us? The voice was distorted, mechanical. And you will return it. Or there will be consequences. I gripped the wheel, fists tight. She has nothing for you. I shouted. You will not take her. The figure tilted his head, silent for a moment, then nodded. The others moved closer, slowly, methodically, cutting off every escape. Ama's small hand gripped mine. Sir, what do we do now? I took a deep breath, trying to steady my mind. There was no running. Not here. Not now. We were trapped. And then it hit me. The device. They wanted it. They would not touch us if it stayed hidden. I couldn't risk keeping it on me. Ama, I said softly, listen to me. I need you to trust me. Hide it. Her eyes widened. Hide it? But how? Under the seat, I said, pointing. Slip it under. Don't let anyone see. She hesitated for a moment, then nodded, quickly sliding the device under the seat. I slammed my foot on the accelerator, tires spinning on gravel, engine roaring. The SUV surged forward, but I swerved, using the containers and crates to block their path. Sparks flew as metal scraped metal, and I felt the thrill of desperate survival pulse through me. The lead figure shouted something and the others scattered, trying to intercept us. I knew we had only seconds to escape. We darted through a narrow path, the dockyard twisting like a labyrinth. I could hear them behind us, closer than ever, engines and footsteps in chaotic harmony. And then, the worst happened. A chain-link fence, half broken, appeared suddenly. I swerved to avoid it, but the car hit a loose post. The front tire burst, metal screeching against asphalt. The car lurched and Ama's scream echoed in my ears. I managed to control the vehicle, tires skidding, engine whining, and we veered into a narrow alley. My pulse raced, adrenaline surging as I realized we had only one chance left. And I knew deep down that if we failed, the consequences would be unimaginable. Ama looked at me, eyes wide, clutching my arm. "Sir, I'm scared." "I know," I said, voice steady despite the fear coursing through me. "But we're almost there. I promise. Just a little longer." I didn't know if I could keep that promise. The alley ended abruptly at a dead end, a massive wall of concrete and rusted gates. And behind us, the figures emerged from the shadows, closing in. I slammed the brakes. My heart pounded. Ama's small body shook beside me. And then I saw it, the device hidden under the seat, pulsing faintly red. The lead figure's voice cut through the night. "We know it's there. Give it to us and no one gets hurt." I gritted my teeth, jaw tight. "Never." He laughed, a cold, cruel sound that echoed through the alley. "You don't understand. It's already too late." And in that moment I realized something terrifying. This was no ordinary pursuit. This was a trap. And the silver device, whatever power it held, was far more dangerous than I had ever imagined. Ama looked at me, fear and trust mingling in her eyes. "Sir, what do we do?" I didn't answer. I didn't have an answer. Not yet. All I knew was that our lives and the fate of everyone who trusted us hung by a thread. And in the shadows of the alley, the masked figures closed in, ready to take everything from us, including Ama. The alley was silent except for the hum of the car engine and Ama's shallow, frightened breaths. The masked figures had surrounded us, their shadows stretching across the walls, closing in like predators circling their prey. My fists were clenched on the steering wheel, knuckles white, heart pounding like a drum in my chest. Ama's small hand gripped mine. "Sir, they're going to take it. They'll take me too." "No," I said firmly, my voice low but sharp. "Not while I'm here. Not ever." The lead figure stepped forward, towering over the hood of the car. "Give us the device, Agyeman. Don't make this harder than it has to be." I shook my head. "You don't get it. Whatever it is you want, you won't have it. Not from her. Not from me." He chuckled, a hollow, chilling sound that made my blood run cold. "You don't understand. That device isn't just valuable. It's dangerous. And if we don't get it, the consequences will destroy everyone in your little world. Starting with her." Ama gasped, clutching my arm tighter. Her eyes were wide, shimmering with terror. "Sir, what do we do?" I swallowed hard, mind racing. There was no room to maneuver here. The alley was too narrow. The fences too high. And these people, they were professionals. Too organized, too prepared. But then I remembered the small, hidden exit I had once used in a corporate investigation. A rusted service door behind one of the warehouses. If we could reach it, maybe we had a chance. I looked at Ama. "Listen to me. When I say run, you run. No hesitation. Understand?" She nodded, trembling. I understand." I pressed my foot to the gas, tires screeching on the gravel. The lead figure lunged and one of the others smashed into the side of the car. Sparks flew, metal screeching against metal. Ama screamed and I felt a jolt of fury like I had never experienced. "Hold on." I shouted, swerving violently, sending the attackers stumbling, but they recovered quickly, relentless. I saw the service door ahead, half hidden by shadows and debris. My stomach tightened. This was our only chance. I veered toward it, tires skidding, gravel spraying in all directions. Ama's grip on the device faltered and I caught it just in time. "Don't let go," I shouted. We slammed through the narrow door, the car rattling violently as it crashed into the small courtyard beyond. The masked figures slammed into the entrance, but the rusted gate prevented them from following. For a moment we were free. I slammed the car into reverse, backing behind a stack of abandoned crates. Ama was shaking violently beside me, eyes wide with terror. "Sir, what now?" I took a deep breath, trying to steady myself. Now we hide. And we figure out what this is. But even as I spoke, I could feel it, the device humming faintly, pulsing with a red light that seemed alive. Ama's eyes followed it, fear mingling with awe. It's like it's calling them, she whispered. Like they can sense it. I nodded grimly. Exactly. And we have to keep it safe. No matter what. Suddenly the quiet was shattered by a voice, mechanical, distorted, impossibly calm. Agyeman. You cannot escape. You do not understand the power you hold. Give it to us and perhaps mercy will be shown. My blood ran cold. They knew our exact location. They had been tracking us, waiting for the right moment. I glanced at Ama. We can't fight them here, I said. We have to move. Now. She nodded, determination flaring in her eyes despite the fear. Lead the way, sir. I slammed the car into gear, tires squealing as we sped through the abandoned courtyard, weaving between crates and old containers. The masked figures pursued, relentless. I had to find another exit, another way out, or we would be cornered again. Ahead, I spotted a narrow tunnel, partially hidden by shadows and debris. It wasn't much, but it could lead us to the old harbor roads, less traveled, safer for now. Here. I shouted, swerving toward it. Ama clung to me, eyes wide. Sir, are you sure? I nodded. Trust me. Just hold on. The car jolted violently as we crashed into the tunnel entrance. Metal scraped, tires screeched, but we made it through. Darkness swallowed us, only the faint red glow of the device illuminating the cramped space. I drove cautiously, every second tense, listening for footsteps or engine sounds behind us. Ama's small hand pressed against mine. Sir, do you think they'll come for us again? I clenched my jaw. They will. And we have to be ready. This isn't over. The tunnel twisted and turned, eventually opening onto the harbor road. The city lights shimmered across the water, a deceptive calm after the storm we had just endured. I let out a slow breath. We've made it, for now. But we can't stay here long. They will find us eventually. Ama's eyes glistened as she looked at the device. Sir, what is it? Why do they want it so badly? I shook my head. I don't know yet. But whatever it is, it's dangerous. And if it falls into the wrong hands. Her lips trembled. They'll kill people? Yes, I said softly, my voice heavy. And we can't let that happen. That's why I'm not letting them take it. Or you. She nodded, determination and fear mingling in her gaze. I'll help. I'll do whatever it takes, sir. I looked at her, at the bravery in her small frame, and felt a surge of protectiveness unlike anything I had ever experienced. She had survived so much already and somehow she was still willing to fight. But even as we shared that quiet moment, the red glow of the device pulsed ominously, almost as if it had a life of its own. I could feel its energy, subtle but undeniable, and I realized with a sinking feeling that we were only scratching the surface of the danger we were in. From the shadows of the harbor, the faint roar of engines reached our ears. I froze. They found us, I whispered, voice tight. Ama clutched my arm. Sir, what do we do? I didn't answer immediately. I didn't have a plan, not a complete one. We had survived ambushes, traps, and relentless pursuers, but this was different. The engines grew louder. Headlights shimmered across the water, cutting through the night. More SUVs, more masked figures. And in the lead, the same tall figure who had first captured Ama, moving with the confidence of someone who always got what he wanted. I slammed my fists against the steering wheel. We were trapped again. And this time, I knew deep in my gut that we were running out of chances. Ama looked at me, eyes wide and trusting. Sir, I'm scared. I know, I said, voice low but firm. But I promise, we fight. Together. We survive. No matter what. The SUVs closed in. The red glow of the device pulsed brighter, almost reacting to their presence. I felt a shiver of dread. And then the lead figure raised his hand, pointing directly at the car. I realized something horrifying. This wasn't just about taking the device anymore. They wanted to destroy us. I slammed the gear into drive. Tires screamed as we sped forward, engines roaring, adrenaline surging. But the harbor road was narrow, treacherous, and the figures behind us were gaining. Ama's small hand gripped mine. Sir, I trust you. Please, don't let them take me. I nodded, jaw tight. I won't. I swear. But even as I said it, I knew the truth. No one could guarantee survival. Not in a world where shadows hunted the innocent, where power could kill, and where the wrong person in the wrong place could mean the end of everything. The SUVs roared behind us, closer than ever. And in that moment I realized the fight was far from over. The device pulsed brighter. The night seemed to hold its breath. And I knew, with a certainty that chilled me to the bone, that the true danger was only just beginning.